I visited my son on his first day at his wife's dad's company and found him cleaning the bathrooms. His wife's dad sneered. That's all he's good for. My daughter-in-law smiled. My son cried when he saw me. Then I stepped outside and made a call to Decker. But let me back up. Let me tell you how I got to that moment, standing in the hallway of Jossman Commercial Properties, smelling bleach and watching my 28-year-old son scrub toilets, while his new father-in-law watched like it was some kind of sport. My name is Grant Holloway. I'm 56 years old. I've spent the last 30 years building a business, installing windows, and doing renovation work. Not glamorous. Not the kind of thing people brag about at cocktail parties. But it's honest work, and it's made me more money than most people would guess. I drive a 10-year-old truck because I like it, not because I can't afford better. I wear jeans and work boots because they're comfortable, not because I'm poor, but people see what they want to see. The Jossmans saw a blue-collar nobody. They were wrong. The morning started normal enough. I woke up at 5:30 like I always do, made coffee, checked the work schedule for my crews. My business partner, Decker Hill, had already sent me 3 texts about a problem with a commercial retrofit we were doing downtown. Decker's been my best friend since we were 25. He's the kind of guy who shows up when you need him, no questions asked, loyal to the bone. I texted him back, told him I'd swing by the site later. First, I wanted to stop by and see Levi on his first day at his new job. Levi, my son, my only kid. I love him. Loved him? Love him still, I guess, even though what came later makes that complicated. Levi met Brenna Jossman 2 years ago at some charity event. She was 25 then, polished and pretty in that way that costs money. Hair always perfect. Nails always perfect. Smile always perfect and cold. Levi fell hard. Started dressing different, talking different. Stopped coming by the house for Sunday dinners. Stopped answering my calls as much. I told myself it was normal. He was growing up, building his own life. I was an idiot. Brenna's family owned Jossman Commercial Properties. Her father, Wyatt Jossman, was 61 and had the kind of face that looked like it had been carved out of expensive stone. Cold. Arrogant. The kind of guy who'd step over you on the sidewalk and not notice you were there. Her mother, Colleen, was 58 and had that sugar-sweet voice that made you think she was kind, until you realized she never actually did anything kind. She just smiled while other people did terrible things. They looked at me like I was dirt the first time we met. Levi and Brenna got married 6 months ago. Small wedding. I wasn't involved in the planning. Brenna's family paid for everything, which meant they controlled everything. I showed up, wore the suit Levi asked me to wear, smiled in the photos, and kept my mouth shut. Decker came with me, stood in the back, and whispered sarcastic commentary the whole time. "Look at that ice sculpture," he'd muttered. "Bet it cost more than my truck." "Probably," I'd said. "Bet it's got more personality than the groom's new in-laws." "Definitely." After the wedding, Levi moved into Brenna's apartment, stopped by the office maybe twice, stopped returning my texts. When I finally got him on the phone, he said he was transitioning and needed space. Brenna's father had offered him a job at the company, and he was excited about it. I wanted to be happy for him. I really did. But something felt wrong. So that morning, I drove to the Jossman building downtown. It was one of those new glass towers that reflected the sky and made you feel small. I parked in the visitor lot, walked through the shiny lobby with its marble floors and abstract art, and took the elevator to the 4th floor where Levi said he'd be working. The elevator smelled like expensive cleaning chemicals and leather. Soft music played. Everything was designed to make you feel like you were entering someplace important, someplace you didn't belong. I got off on the 4th floor, walked down a hallway lined with office doors, heard voices, laughter, followed the sound to a bathroom near the end of the hall. That's where I found him. Levi was on his knees in front of a toilet, scrubbing the bowl with a brush. He was wearing khakis and a button-down shirt that already had stains on it. His face was red. His eyes were wet. Wyatt Jossman stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching. He was wearing a suit that probably cost $3,000. His expression was somewhere between amusement and contempt. Brenna stood next to him, holding a coffee cup. She was smiling. I stopped in the hallway, stared. Wyatt noticed me first. His smile widened. Well, he said. "Look who decided to visit." Levi looked up, saw me. His face crumbled. "Dad," he said. His voice cracked. I didn't move. Couldn't. My brain was trying to process what I was seeing. "What the hell is this?" I said. Wyatt shrugged. "Orientation. Everyone starts at the bottom here. Levi's learning humility." "Humility," I repeated. The word tasted like acid. "That's right." Wyatt stepped aside so I could see Levi better. We believe in earning your place. No handouts, no shortcuts. Your son needs to understand what real work looks like. I looked at Levi. He was still on his knees, still holding the toilet brush. He looked like he wanted to disappear. Levi, I said, get up. He didn't move. Levi, get up. He's not done yet, Brenna said. Her voice was light, cheerful, like we were talking about the weather. I took a step forward. Wyatt shifted, blocking the doorway. I think it's time for you to leave, Grant, he said. This is a private workplace. Levi's doing fine, aren't you, Levi? Levi didn't answer. He just stared at the floor. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger, not yet. Something worse. Understanding. This wasn't orientation. This wasn't teaching humility. This was humiliation. This was a game. And my son was the toy. Levi, I said quietly, come with me. He's staying, Brenna said. She sipped her coffee. We have a contract. He signed it. He's committed. A contract to scrub toilets? A contract to learn the business from the ground up, Wyatt said. If he can't handle it, he's welcome to quit. But then he loses everything we've invested in him, including the apartment, the car, the credit cards, all of it. I looked at Levi again. He still wouldn't meet my eyes. Is that true? I asked him. He nodded. Say it. It's true, he whispered. And you're okay with this? He didn't answer. Wyatt laughed. He's more than okay with it. He's grateful, aren't you, Levi? Levi's hands were shaking. The toilet brush fell into the bowl with a wet splash. That's all he's good for, Wyatt said. He said it casually, like he was commenting on the weather, like my son wasn't even human. Brenna smiled wider, and Levi cried. I turned around, walked back down the hallway, and took the elevator to the lobby, walked outside into the cold morning air. My hands were shaking. My vision was blurred. I stood on the sidewalk, breathing hard, trying to think. Then I pulled out my phone, typed 2 words, sent them to Decker. Gear up, he replied immediately. What happened? I stared at the glass building, at my reflection in the windows, at the perfect, polished surface that hid so much rot underneath. They just dug their own graves, I typed back. Then I got in my truck and drove away. Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? I didn't go straight to the office. I needed to think, needed to let the rage settle into something useful. So I drove to the site where we were doing the retrofit work downtown, parked behind the building, sat in the truck with the engine off. My phone buzzed. Decker. Where are you? Site. Meet me. 10 minutes. I got out of the truck. The building was an old warehouse being converted into loft apartments, exposed brick, high ceilings. The kind of place that looked rough but would rent for stupid money once it was finished. We were installing new windows, reinforcing the frames, making sure everything was up to code. I walked through the construction entrance. The smell of sawdust and drywall compound hit me, familiar, comforting. This was my world, not glass towers and marble floors, just honest work and tools and sweat. One of my guys, Tommy, was working on a window frame on the 2nd floor. He saw me and waved. Boss, didn't expect you today. Just checking in. We're good. Decker's been riding us all morning. He grinned. In a good way. I nodded, walked past him, climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor where the break room was set up, poured myself coffee from the ancient pot we kept there, sat down on a folding chair. My hands were still shaking. I kept seeing Levi's face, the way he looked at me, the way he didn't get up, didn't fight back, just knelt there like he'd accepted it, like he thought he deserved it. Footsteps on the stairs. Heavy boots. Decker appeared in the doorway. He was 57, built like a bulldog, with a face that had seen every kind of weather and come out tougher for it. He took one look at me and his expression went dark. What happened? I told him. All of it. The bathroom, Wyatt, Brenna, Levi on his knees. Decker listened without interrupting. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, We're going to burn them down. Metaphorically. Obviously. He sat down across from me. But we're going to burn them down. You know that, right? Yeah. Good. So what's the plan? I didn't have one yet, but I was starting to see the shape of it, the outline. These people thought they were untouchable, thought money and status made them immune. They looked at people like me and saw nothing worth worrying about. They were wrong. I'd spent 30 years in this business, 30 years learning how buildings worked, how businesses worked, how people worked. I knew codes and permits and regulations. I knew which corners people cut and how to find them. I knew how to move through buildings without being seen. I'd worked on half the commercial properties in this city, including some of Wyatt Jossman's. I knew things. We start by learning everything, I said. About Wyatt, about his company, about every building they own and every shortcut they took building them. Public records? Public records, safety inspections, code violations, everything that's already out there, just waiting for someone to look. Decker smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'll make some calls. I know a guy at the city who owes me a favor. Do it. We sat there for a while, drinking bad coffee, planning. It felt good, having a purpose, having something to focus on besides the image of my son crying. But I kept thinking about how we got here, how Levi went from my kid to someone I barely recognized. It started small. That's how it always starts. 2 years ago, Levi was working with me, learning the business. He was good at it, had an eye for detail, could talk to clients. I thought maybe he'd take over someday, build on what I'd built. Then he met Brenna. At first, it was fine. She seemed nice enough, a little polished maybe, a little too interested in appearances, but Levi was happy, so I was happy. Then the changes started. Levi stopped wearing jeans to work, started showing up in khakis and button-down shirts, started talking about image and presentation, started making comments about how we should modernize the business, get a fancier office, hire a marketing person, rebrand. I told him we didn't need to. We had more work than we could handle. Our reputation spoke for itself. He said I was thinking small. That should have been a warning sign. Then he started missing family dinners. I'd call him, he'd say he was busy. Brenna's family was having something, some event, some party. He needed to be there. I understood, sort of. You make sacrifices for the person you love. But it kept happening. And when he did show up, he was different, distant, like he was already somewhere else in his head. I asked him once if everything was okay. He said, "Yeah, Dad, everything's great. I'm just growing up." Growing up. Like spending time with your family was something childish you left behind. I let it go, told myself he'd come around, told myself this was normal. Then came the engagement. Brenna's parents threw a party to announce it. Big fancy thing at some country club. I wasn't invited to help plan it, wasn't asked for input, just got a call from Levi saying, "Hey, we're engaged, party's on Saturday, wear something nice." I went. Wore a suit. Felt like an imposter the whole time. Wyatt Jossman shook my hand exactly once. Looked at me like I was something he'd scraped off his shoe. Said, "So you're the contractor." Not Levi's father, not Grant, just the contractor. I said, "That's right, and you're the guy who builds things cheap and hopes no one notices." His smile froze. Brenna's mother, Colleen, swept in before things could get ugly. She had that fake sweet voice down to an art. "Grant, how lovely to meet you. Levi's told us so much about you." I doubted that, but I smiled and nodded and played along. The whole night felt wrong, like I was watching my son get absorbed into something I didn't understand, something that didn't want me there. I tried to talk to Levi. He brushed me off. Said he was busy, said we'd catch up later. We never did. The wedding came and went. Then Levi moved out, stopped working at the company, said he was pursuing other opportunities, said Wyatt had offered him a position, said it was a great chance. I wanted to be supportive. I really did. But I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong until I saw him on his knees in that bathroom. Decker finished his coffee and stood up. "I'll make those calls. Start digging. You should go home. Get some rest. You look like hell." "I'm fine." "You're not, but you will be. We'll fix this." He left. I sat there alone, listening to the sounds of construction around me. Hammers, saws, men working, building something real. I thought about Levi, about how I'd failed him somehow, let him slip away, let him get swallowed by these people who saw him as nothing more than a tool. My phone buzzed, a text from Levi. "Dad, I'm sorry you saw that. It's not what it looked like." I stared at the message, read it 3 times, typed back, "What was it then?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again, finally. "It's complicated. I'll explain later." "When?" No response. I waited 5 minutes. 10, nothing. I put the phone away, stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city, at the buildings I'd helped build, at the windows I'd installed, At the skyline I knew like the back of my hand. Somewhere out there, my son was learning to be small, learning to accept humiliation, learning that he was worth less than the people around him. Not on my watch. I pulled out my phone again, opened a new note, started making a list. Jossman Commercial Properties. Wyatt Jossman, Brenna Jossman. Buildings owned, projects completed, public records, safety violations, anything and everything I could think of. This was war now, and I was very good at war. The Jossman warehouse was on the east side of the city, in an industrial zone that looked like it had been forgotten sometime in the 90s. Chain-link fences, cracked asphalt, buildings with peeling paint and broken windows. But the Jossman warehouse was newer, cleaner, a big metal structure with a decent security system, a system I'd installed. Decker and I parked 2 blocks away at 11:30 on Friday night. We were wearing our work clothes, tool belts, company jackets. If anyone saw us, we'd look exactly like what we were supposed to be, contractors doing a routine inspection. The street was empty, no traffic, no witnesses. We walked to the warehouse. The front gate was locked, but I had the code. Punched it in. The gate clicked open. So far, so good, Decker muttered. We walked across the lot to the side entrance. Another keypad, another code. The door unlocked. Inside, the warehouse was dark, except for a few emergency lights along the walls. Rows of metal shelving filled the space. Boxes, equipment, files. Where do we start? Decker asked. Office records are usually in the back. Separate room, climate-controlled. We moved through the warehouse, using our flashlights to navigate. The place smelled like dust and metal. Our footsteps echoed. I found the records room at the back, locked door. But I had the key for that too. Opened it. Inside was a small office with filing cabinets lining the walls. A desk, a computer. Everything neat and organized. Jackpot, Decker said. We split up. He took the left side. I took the right. Started going through files, looking for anything with Levi's name, anything that looked like a contract. It took 20 minutes. I found it in a cabinet labeled Employment Agreements Current. A thick folder with Levi's name on it. I pulled it out, opened it, read. Decker, look at this. He came over. I showed him the contract. It wasn't just an employment agreement. It was a coercion document. Levi had signed away control of his finances, given Brenna power of attorney, agreed to a probationary period of indefinite length during which he could be assigned any task Wyatt deemed necessary. And if he quit or was fired, he'd owe the company $50,000 for training expenses. Jesus, Decker said. This can't be legal. It's not. It's coercive, predatory. But it's signed and it's notarized. I kept reading, found more pages, addendums, clauses. One clause made my stomach drop. It stated that Levi had agreed to transfer ownership of any joint assets acquired during the marriage to Brenna in the event of separation or divorce. I flipped to the next page, found a document showing Levi's savings account. He'd had $23,000 saved up before the wedding, money he'd earned working with me. The account was now in Brenna's name. Levi was listed as a secondary account holder. She'd taken everything. This is theft, Decker said. We need to show this to someone, a lawyer, the police. The police won't do anything. It's a civil matter, and Levi signed it. He gave her permission. Then we show it to him. Make him see what they've done. I stared at the document, at my son's signature at the bottom, at the date, 3 weeks before the wedding. He knew, I said quietly. What? He knew. He signed this 3 weeks before the wedding. He knew what he was agreeing to. Maybe they pressured him? Maybe, but he still signed it. He still went through with it. I felt something crack inside me. Some last piece of hope that maybe Levi was just a victim, just someone who'd been manipulated. But no, he'd made a choice. He'd chosen this, chosen them, chosen to walk away from everything I'd built for him. Grant, Decker said, we need to get out of here. I looked up. What? I hear something. I listened. Footsteps. Outside the records room, coming closer. We'd been too focused on the documents. Hadn't been paying attention. Security guard, I whispered. Decker nodded. We moved quickly. I shoved the contract back into the folder. Put the folder back in the cabinet. Closed the drawer as quietly as possible. The footsteps stopped outside the door. A flashlight beam swept through the window in the door. We pressed against the wall, held our breath. The door handle rattled. The guard was trying to open it, but it was locked. We'd locked it behind us. Hello? The guard called. Anyone in there? Neither of us answered. The flashlight beam moved away. The footsteps continued down the hallway. We waited. 30 seconds. A minute. Now, I whispered. We moved fast, out of the records room, back through the warehouse. The guard was somewhere on the other side. We could hear him, his radio crackling. We made it to the side entrance, slipped out, closed the door behind us, ran across the lot, through the gate, down the street, didn't stop until we were back at the truck. We sat there, breathing hard, adrenaline pumping. That was close, Decker said. Too close. But we got what we needed? I thought about the contract, about Levi's signature, about the money Brenna had taken. Yeah, I said. We got what we needed. We drove back to my place in silence. I couldn't stop thinking about what I'd seen, the way they'd trapped him, the way he'd let them. Back at the house, we sat at the kitchen table. I made coffee. Neither of us drank it. So what now? Decker asked. Now I need to know what else they're planning. You think there's more? There's always more. People like Wyatt don't just humiliate someone for fun. There's an end game, a purpose. What purpose? I didn't know, not yet, but I was going to find out. The answer came 3 days later, in the most unexpected way. I was at the office, going over invoices, when Decker came in with a laptop. You need to see this, he said. He set the laptop on my desk, opened a web browser, navigated to a private social media account, Brenna's account. How did you... Phil's daughter is friends with someone who's friends with Brenna. Got me access to her private posts, the ones she doesn't make public. I looked at the screen, at the photos, at the captions. One post showed Brenna and Levi at some fancy restaurant. The caption read, Training day 15, he's learning slowly. Another showed Levi carrying shopping bags. Caption, Retail therapy, he's such a good assistant. Another, Levi in the background of a photo at some party, looking exhausted. Caption, He'll understand eventually. This is for his own good. I scrolled further. Found a post from 2 weeks ago. A photo of Wyatt in his office. Daddy's plan is working perfectly. L is broken enough now. Ready for phase 2. Phase 2. What's phase 2? Decker asked. I kept scrolling. Found another post. This one from a week ago. A screenshot of a document. It was a proposal. A business proposal. For a new company. The company name was Holloway Jossman Renovations. I stared at it. Read it 3 times. They're trying to take your business, Decker said. It was worse than that. I kept reading. The proposal outlined a plan to merge my company with a new entity controlled by Wyatt. He'd provide capital. I'd provide expertise and existing contracts. Levi would be the bridge between the two families. And once the merger was complete, I'd be phased out. Retired, removed. My company, the business I'd built from nothing. They were going to steal it. And they were going to use my son to do it. Grant, Decker said. Say something. I couldn't. My throat was too tight. My hands were shaking. This is why they wanted him, Decker continued. Not for the marriage, not for Brenna. For access to you, to your business. They saw an opportunity and they took it. I thought about all the times Levi had asked me to modernize, to rebrand, to bring in outside investors. He'd been setting me up. Maybe he didn't realize it. Maybe he thought he was helping. But he'd been the tool they used to get close. And now they were going to finish the job. We need to... Decker started. No, I said. Not yet. What do you mean, not yet? They're trying to steal your company. I know, but if we act now, they'll see us coming. They'll shut it down, change the plan, cover their tracks. So what do we do? I looked at the screen, at the proposal, at the carefully laid out plan to destroy everything I'd built. We let them think they're winning, I said. We play along, and then we burn it all down. How? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. The same way they're trying to destroy me, from the inside. Over the next week, I put together my own plan. First, I compiled everything I had on Wyatt's buildings. The safety violations, the code issues, the corners he'd cut. I organized it into a report, made it look professional, detailed, unbiased. Then I sent it anonymously to the city building inspection department. Not to Phil, to his boss, to the head of the department, with a note suggesting that Jossman commercial properties might need a comprehensive safety audit. That was step 1. Step 2 was Brenna. I'd noticed something about her social media posts. She talked, a lot, about everything, including things she probably shouldn't. Client information, business deals, confidential matters. She thought her private account was safe, thought only her friends could see it. She was wrong. I had Decker's friend set up a screen recorder. Every post Brenna made, we captured, every comment, every photo, every word, and we waited. It didn't take long. 2 days later, Brenna posted about a client. A big client. Someone who was considering a major contract with Jossman Commercial Properties. She complained about how demanding they were, how difficult. She made fun of their accent, their clothes, their background. It was ugly, petty, cruel, and it was exactly what I needed. I downloaded the post, saved it, backed it up in 3 different places. Then I sent it to the client, anonymously, from an email account that couldn't be traced back to me. The subject line was, "Thought you should know who you're working with." I hit send. Step 3 was the hardest. I needed to talk to Levi one more time, needed to give him a chance to walk away before things got nuclear. I called him. He didn't answer. I texted. No response. So I showed up at the apartment, the one Brenna's family owned, the one they'd given Levi as part of the deal. I knocked on the door. Brenna answered. She looked surprised, then annoyed. "Grant, what are you doing here?" "I need to talk to Levi." "He's not here." "Where is he?" "At work. Where he should be. It's 8 o'clock at night. Wyatt has him working late. There's a lot to do." I looked past her into the apartment. It was exactly what I expected. Modern, expensive, sterile. Nothing in it that looked like Levi. No photos of us. No reminders of his life before this. "Tell him I came by," I said. "Why? So you can try to convince him to leave? To go back to your little construction company?" "He's moved on, Grant. He's building a real future now. With you. With me. With my family. With people who can actually help him succeed." "By making him clean toilets?" Her smile didn't waver. "By teaching him humility? By showing him that success requires sacrifice? You wouldn't understand. You've been small your whole life." I stared at her, at the perfectly applied makeup, the designer clothes, the confidence that came from never having to fight for anything. "You're right," I said. "I wouldn't understand. I've never had to steal from my spouse to feel powerful." Her smile faltered. "What are you talking about?" "The money. Levi's savings. The account you transferred into your name." She recovered quickly. "That was a joint decision for our future." "Was it? Or did you just take it?" "I think you should leave." "I will. But tell Levi something for me. Tell him I know about Phase 2. Tell him I know about the merger plan, and tell him that if he goes through with it, he's going to lose everything." I turned and walked away before she could respond. Behind me, I heard the door slam. I got in my truck. Sat there for a moment. My hands were shaking again. Not from fear, from rage. These people had taken my son, twisted him, used him, and now they were coming for my business. But they'd made one crucial mistake. They'd underestimated me. They thought I was just some blue-collar contractor, someone who worked with his hands, someone who didn't understand their world of business and manipulation and power plays. They were wrong. I understood perfectly. And I was about to teach them what happens when you underestimate the wrong person. The city inspector showed up at Wyatt's main building on a Tuesday morning. I wasn't there to see it, but Phil called me and described the whole thing. How the inspector walked in with a clipboard and a serious expression. How Wyatt tried to charm him. How the charm didn't work. The inspector spent 6 hours going through the building, found the outdated fire suppression system, the elevator cables that barely met code, the electrical panel that hadn't been updated in 15 years. By the end of the day, the building had been cited for 12 violations. Nothing that would shut it down immediately, but enough to require expensive fixes. Enough to make Wyatt's insurance company nervous. Enough to make his clients start asking questions. And it wasn't just that building. The inspector had flagged 4 others for follow-up inspections. Phil told me Wyatt had called the head of the building department, screaming about harassment, about unfair targeting, about how this was politically motivated. The head of the department told him that all inspections were based on documented complaints and public safety concerns. If Wyatt had a problem with that, he was welcome to file a formal grievance. He didn't, because filing a formal grievance would create a paper trail, would bring more attention to his buildings, would make everything worse. So he shut up and started scrambling to fix the violations. That cost him. Not just money, but time, energy, focus, exactly what I wanted. While Wyatt was dealing with that, the client Brenna had insulted pulled out of their contract. Sent a terse email saying they'd decided to go with another company. No explanation. No discussion. Brenna freaked out. Made a series of frantic posts on her private account about betrayal and unprofessionalism, never once realizing she was the one who'd burned that bridge. I saved every post, added them to my growing file, But I wasn't done yet. I needed one more thing, one final piece of the puzzle. I needed to know exactly how they were planning to approach me about the merger. So I waited, and 2 days later, I got my answer. Levi called me. I almost didn't answer. Was ready to let it go to voicemail, but something made me pick up. "Dad," he said. His voice was strained, tired. "Levi, can we meet? I need to talk to you." "About what?" About the business, about an opportunity. Wyatt wants to set up a meeting." There it was. The pitch, the setup. "What kind of opportunity?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. "A partnership between your company and Jossman Commercial Properties. He thinks there's a lot of potential for growth, for expansion. He wants to discuss the details with you." "Why? Why what? Why does he want to partner with me? A couple weeks ago he was making you clean toilets. Now he wants to do business with me? What changed?" Levi was quiet for a moment. "He sees value in what you've built, in your reputation, your client base. He sees value in stealing it." "Dad, it's not like that." "Yes, it is. It's exactly like that. He wants to merge our companies, phase me out, and take everything I've worked for. And he's using you to make it happen." "That's not true." "Levi, I've seen the proposal. I know what phase 2 is." Silence. Long and heavy. "How?" he started. "Doesn't matter how. What matters is you know about it, you're part of it, and you're going along with it. I don't have a choice. You always have a choice. You don't understand. The contract, I've seen the contract too. It's coercive. It's probably not even legal. You could fight it. I can't. We owe them too much. The apartment, the car, the credit cards, everything. If I walk away, we lose it all. So you lose it. Come back to work with me. Start over." "I can't do that to Brenna. Brenna is the one doing this to you." He didn't respond. I took a breath, tried to calm down. "Levi," I said quietly, "I love you. I always will. But if you go through with this, if you help them steal my company, we're done. Do you understand that?" "Dad, do you understand?" Another long silence. "Yeah," he said finally. "I understand." "Good. Tell Wyatt I'll meet with him. Next Tuesday, 10 a.m., my office." "Really?" "Really. But Levi, this is your last chance. If you want out, now's the time. After this, there's no going back." He didn't say anything. I hung up, sat there in the dark, feeling something inside me harden. He'd made his choice, now I'd make mine. The meeting was set for the following Tuesday. I spent the weekend preparing, not for a partnership negotiation, for war. Decker helped me set up the office. We moved furniture around, set up a camera hidden in the bookshelf, made sure everything was recording. "You sure about this?" Decker asked. "Yeah. Once you do this, there's no going back." "I know." He nodded. "Then let's finish them." Tuesday morning came. I got to the office early, made coffee, checked the camera, made sure everything was ready. Wyatt showed up at exactly 10 a.m. Levi was with him. So was Brenna. They walked into my office like they owned the place. Wyatt in his expensive suit, Brenna in her designer dress, Levi in khakis and a button-down, looking uncomfortable. "Grant," Wyatt said, extending his hand. "Good to see you." I didn't shake it, just gestured to the chairs. "Sit." He frowned, but sat down. Brenna sat next to him. Levi stood near the door like he was ready to run. "So," Wyatt said, "I assume Levi told you why we're here." He said something about a partnership. "That's right. I've been impressed with your company, your reputation, your client relationships. I think there's real potential for growth if we combine our resources." "Combine how?" He pulled out a folder, opened it, showed me the same proposal I'd already seen online. The merger plan, the timeline, the structure. I pretended to study it. "And what would my role be?" "Consultant. Advisor. You'd bring your expertise, your connections, help us expand the renovation side of the business." "For how long?" 2 years. After that, you'd be free to retire. We'd buy out your share. You'd walk away with a substantial payout." I looked at the numbers. They were good, on paper. But the fine print told the real story. I'd lose control immediately, have no say in how the business was run. And the substantial payout was contingent on performance metrics that Wyatt would control. It was a trap. A nice-looking trap, but a trap nonetheless. "What happens to my employees?" I asked. "They'd be absorbed into our company, given new positions, new opportunities, or fired." "That would depend on their performance." I looked at Levi. He was staring at the floor. And Levi's role in this? He'd be the bridge, Wyatt said. The connection between our two companies. Family working with family. It's a beautiful thing. Until you don't need me anymore, then what? You phase me out, take my company, and Levi gets a pat on the head? Wyatt's smile tightened. I think you're being overly cynical. I think I'm being realistic. Brenna spoke up. Grant, this is a great opportunity. For everyone. For Levi, for you, for our family. Your family, not mine. We're all family now. I stood up. No, we're not. Because family doesn't steal from each other. Family doesn't coerce and manipulate and humiliate each other. Family doesn't trap their kids in predatory contracts and then use them as tools. Wyatt stood up too. I don't appreciate your tone. And I don't appreciate you trying to steal my business. So here's my counteroffer. Get out. Take your proposal, take your contracts, take your daughter, and get the hell out of my office. You're making a mistake. No, you made the mistake. You underestimated me. You thought I was too small, too stupid, too blue-collar to see what you were doing, but I saw everything. The contract, the money you stole from Levi, the merger plan, phase 2, all of it. Wyatt's face went pale. And here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to leave my son alone. You're going to tear up that contract. You're going to give him back his money, and you're going to stay away from me and my company forever. Or what? I smiled. Or I make sure every building inspector in this city knows exactly what corners you cut. Every client knows what your daughter really thinks of them, and every employee knows about those predatory contracts you've been forcing on them. Wyatt's jaw clenched. You're bluffing. Try me. We stood there, staring at each other. Brenna looked nervous. Levi looked like he wanted to disappear. Finally, Wyatt grabbed his folder. This isn't over. Yeah, I said. It is. He walked out. Brenna followed. Levi lingered for a moment, looking at me like he wanted to say something, but he didn't. He just followed them out. I sat back down, exhaled, felt the adrenaline draining away. Decker came in from the back room. Holy hell. Yeah, that was intense. It's not over yet. What do you mean? Wyatt's not going to just walk away. He's going to push back. Hard. So what do we do? I thought about it. About all the pieces I'd put in place. All the ammunition I'd gathered. We push harder, I said. Wyatt pushed back within 24 hours. I got a call from 3 of my biggest clients, all saying the same thing. They'd heard concerns about my company, questions about reliability, professionalism, financial stability. I knew exactly where those concerns came from. I called each client back, reassured them, showed them our track record, our reviews, our financials. By the end of the day, I'd salvaged 2 of the 3 relationships. The third was still considering their options. Wyatt was playing dirty. Good. So was I. That afternoon, I sent my compiled report on Jossman commercial properties to 3 local news outlets. Not the big ones. The smaller, scrappier ones that actually did investigative journalism. The ones that liked stories about rich people cutting corners and endangering public safety. I sent it anonymously, with a note explaining that this was a public safety concern, that these buildings were used by thousands of people every day, that someone should look into it. 2 of the 3 outlets responded within hours. By Friday, there was a story. Local real estate firm faces multiple safety violations. It wasn't front-page news, but it was enough. Enough to make Wyatt's phone ring. Enough to make his insurance company nervous. Enough to make his clients start asking questions. I also released Brenna's social media posts, the ones where she insulted clients, mocked employees, talked trash about her own father's business deals. I sent them to those same clients, those same employees, anonymously. The fallout was immediate. 2 more clients pulled their contracts, 3 employees quit, and suddenly Brenna's perfect social media presence started getting comments. Angry comments. From people who'd seen her private posts, who knew what she really thought of them. She made her account private, then deleted it entirely. Too late. The screenshots were already out there, but I wasn't done. I needed one more thing. One final blow that would make sure they never came after me again. I needed Levi, not as an ally. I'd given up on that, but as a witness. So I called him. He didn't answer. I texted. No response. I drove to the apartment, knocked on the door. Brenna answered. He doesn't want to see you, she said. I need to talk to him. He said no. Let him tell me that. She started to close the door. I put my hand on it, not forcefully, just enough to stop it. Move, she said. or I'll call the police. Call them. I'm not doing anything illegal. I just want to talk to my son. We stood there for a moment. Then Levi appeared behind her. It's okay, he said. I'll talk to him. Brenna looked furious, but she stepped aside. Levi came out into the hallway, closed the door behind him, looked at me with exhausted eyes. What do you want? He asked. I want you to walk away from this. I can't. Yes, you can. The contract's illegal. I've had a lawyer look at it. You can break it, fight it, you'll win. We can't afford a lawyer. I'll pay for it. He shook his head. It's not just about money. It's about... I made a commitment to Brenna, to her family. A commitment they've used to destroy you. You don't understand. Then explain it to me. Make me understand why you're letting them do this to you. He looked away. Because I wanted to be more than what I was. More than just your son. More than just a guy who installs windows. I wanted to be someone. And Brenna's family, they offered me that. A chance to be part of something bigger. So you sold yourself. I made a choice. A stupid choice. His face hardened. At least I made one. You never took any risks. Never tried to grow. Never tried to be anything more than what you were. You were happy being small. Small? Levi, I built a company from nothing. I gave you a future, a real one. Not this fake polished bullshit that's destroying you. You gave me your future, not mine. Because you were too weak to build your own. The words hung there. Harsh. True. Painful. Levi's eyes filled with tears. I'm done talking to you. He turned and went back into the apartment. The door slammed. I stood there alone in the hallway, feeling something break inside me. That was it. The final crack. The moment I realized I'd lost him. Not to Brenna, not to Wyatt, but to his own weakness, his own need to be something he wasn't. I walked back to my truck, sat there, stared at the steering wheel, thought about all the times I'd tried to help him, to guide him, to give him the tools to succeed, and he'd thrown it all away for a lie, for people who saw him as nothing more than a tool. I pulled out my phone, called Decker. It's time, I said. Time for what? To finish this. I spent the weekend putting together the final pieces. I took everything I had, the safety violations, the predatory contracts, Brenna's social media posts, the evidence of Wyatt's corner cutting, and compiled it into one comprehensive package. Then I sent it to the right people, not just journalists, but lawyers, labor rights organizations, government agencies. I made sure Wyatt Jossman's name was everywhere, made sure people knew what kind of businessman he was, what kind of family he ran. On Monday morning, the first lawsuit was filed, a former employee claiming coercive contract practices. By Monday afternoon, there were 3 more. The news picked it up. Real estate mogul faces multiple legal claims. Wyatt's company started hemorrhaging clients, partners, employees. His buildings were being inspected. His contracts were being reviewed. His reputation was being shredded. And through it all, I watched, waited, let it burn. On Tuesday, I got a call from an unknown number. Grant Holloway? Yeah. This is Stuart Michaels. I'm an attorney representing Wyatt Jossman. My client would like to arrange a meeting to discuss a resolution to recent disputes. Tell your client to go to hell. Mr. Holloway, I think it's in everyone's best interest. No, it's in my best interest to watch him lose everything, just like he tried to make me lose everything. Mr. Holloway. I hung up. 2 hours later, Brenna showed up at my office. She looked different, smaller. Her makeup was smudged. Her clothes were wrinkled. She'd been crying. Please, she said. You have to stop this. I don't have to do anything. My father's company is falling apart. We're losing everything. Good. Please, I'm begging you. I looked at her, at the desperation in her eyes, at the realization that her perfect life was collapsing. Where's Levi? I asked. At the apartment. He won't come out. He just sits there, staring at the wall. Good. Maybe he's finally realizing what he's married into. This isn't his fault. No, it's yours. Yours and your father's. You did this. You broke him. You tried to break me, and now you're paying the price. She started crying. We'll give him back his money. We'll tear up the contract. Just please stop. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered Levi on his knees, crying, humiliated, and the sympathy died. No, I said. You don't get to undo this. You made your choices. Now live with them. She left, still crying. I sat there, feeling nothing, just cold satisfaction. By Thursday, Wyatt's company was in free fall. 4 more clients had pulled their contracts. 6 employees had filed lawsuits. The city had shut down 2 of his buildings pending safety reviews. His insurance company had dropped him, and the media was eating it alive. Jossman empire crumbles under weight of scandals. I followed every story, saved every article, watched his perfect world burn. Decker came by the office, looked at me with concern. "You okay?" he asked. "Fine." "You don't look fine. You look focused, too focused. I'm finishing what they started. Grant, they're already done. You won. You destroyed them. Maybe it's time to... To what? Forgive and forget? Let it go? Yeah. No, not yet. Then when? I didn't have an answer. That night I couldn't sleep. Kept thinking about Levi, about the choices he'd made, the choices I'd made, about whether I'd become the villain in my own story. No, they were the villains. They started this. They came after me, after my business, after my son. I was just defending myself, wasn't I? Friday morning, I got a call from Levi. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Dad." His voice was flat, empty. "Levi." "You won? Are you happy?" "I did what I had to do. You destroyed us. You destroyed yourself. I just made sure everyone knew it." Silence. "Brenna left me," he said finally. I felt something twist in my chest. "What?" "This morning. She packed her stuff. Said she couldn't do this anymore. Said her father was cutting us off. We have to be out of the apartment by the end of the month." "Good. That's good." "How is that good? I have nothing. No job, no money, no home, nothing." "You have your freedom." He laughed. It was bitter, broken. "Freedom to be homeless, freedom to be a failure, freedom to start over. Come back. Work with me. We'll figure it out." "I don't want to work with you. I never did." The words hit like a punch. "Then what do you want?" I asked. "I don't know. I thought I wanted what they offered. Status, respect, a future that didn't involve getting dirty every day, but now I just feel empty." "That's what happens when you chase the wrong things. Don't lecture me. You don't get to lecture me, not after what you did." "What I did? What about what you did? You betrayed me, sold me out, helped them try to steal my company." "Because I thought it was the right choice. Because I thought they cared about me. Because I thought..." His voice cracked. "I thought I was finally good enough for someone." And there it was. The truth. The real reason. He didn't want status or money. He wanted to feel valuable, and to feel like he mattered. And I'd never made him feel that way. Not enough. "Levi," I said quietly, "you were always good enough." "No, I wasn't. Not for you. You looked at me and saw someone who couldn't measure up. Someone who'd never be as good as you, as tough as you, as successful as you. That's not true." "Yes, it is. And maybe Brenna's family saw the same thing. Maybe that's why they treated me the way they did. Because I'm not worth treating any better." "Stop. That's not... I have to go." "Levi, wait." He hung up. I sat there, phone in my hand, feeling something close to panic. He was wrong. He was good enough. Always had been. I'd just been too focused on teaching him to be strong to tell him he already was. I called back. No answer. Texted, no response. Called Decker. "I need to find Levi. Now." "What happened?" "He's falling apart. I need to find him before..." "Before what? Before he did something stupid? Before he disappeared? Before I lost him forever?" Decker and I spent the next 3 hours searching. The apartment, the office, every place Levi used to go. Nothing. I called him 20 times, left voicemails, sent texts. "Please answer. Please talk to me. Please." Nothing. Finally, at 7 p.m., he texted back. "I'm fine. Leave me alone." "Where are you?" No response. I tried calling again. It went straight to voicemail. He'd turned off his phone. I drove to the apartment anyway, knocked on the door, no answer. The door was unlocked. I pushed it open. The apartment was empty. Not just empty of people, empty of stuff. Everything was gone. The furniture, the decorations, everything that made it feel like a home, just bare walls and echoes. They'd taken it all. I stood there in the empty living room, feeling the weight of what I'd done. Yes, they'd tried to destroy me. Yes, they'd hurt Levi. Yes, they deserved to be exposed. But in destroying them, I'd destroyed him too, and now he was gone. I called Decker. "I can't find him. He'll turn up. Give him time." "What if he doesn't?" "He will. He's your son. He'll come back." But he didn't sound convinced. That night, I sat in my truck outside the empty apartment, staring at the dark windows, wondering if I just made the biggest mistake of my life. 3 days passed. No word from Levi. I called everyone, his friends, his old co-workers, even contacted Brenna, who told me coldly that she didn't know where he was and didn't care. I filed a missing persons report. The police said he wasn't missing, he was an adult. He could go wherever he wanted. They'd keep an eye out, but there wasn't much they could do. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, just kept checking my phone, hoping for a message. Anything. Nothing. Decker tried to keep me focused, keep me working, but I couldn't think straight. On the 4th day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Grant Holloway? Yeah. This is Dr. Sarah Kim at Mercy Hospital. We have a patient here who was brought in last night. He gave your name as his emergency contact. My heart stopped. Levi? Yes. He's okay, but we'd like you to come down. I was in my truck before she finished the sentence. I made it to the hospital in 10 minutes, ran through the emergency room doors, found the nurse's station. Levi Holloway, where is he? The nurse checked her computer. Room 14, down the hall and to the left. I ran, found the room, pushed through the door. Levi was in the bed. He looked terrible, pale, thin. His arm was in a sling. What happened? I asked. He looked at me. His eyes were red. I fell. Fell where? Off a roof. What roof? An old warehouse. I don't know what I was doing. Trying to think, I guess. I got too close to the edge. Lost my balance. I stared at him. You could have died. I know. Why were you on a roof? He didn't answer. A doctor came in. Tall woman with kind eyes. Dr. Kim? Mr. Holloway, your son has a broken arm and some bruising. He's very lucky it wasn't worse. We'd like to keep him overnight for observation. Okay, whatever he needs. She nodded. I'll give you 2 sometime. She left. I pulled a chair up next to the bed. Sat down. Levi, I said quietly. Talk to me. About what? About why you were on a roof. I told you I was trying to think. And I realized I don't have anything left. No wife, no job, no home, no future. I screwed everything up. No, they screwed you up. There's a difference. I let them. Yeah, you did, but you can fix it. How? How do I fix this? I took a breath. You start by coming home. I don't have a home. Yes, you do. With me, come back, work with me, we'll rebuild. He shook his head. I can't go back to that. To being your employee, your son who couldn't make it on his own. Then don't be my employee, be my partner. He looked at me. What? Partner, equal stake, equal say. You help me run the company, build it into something bigger, something that's yours too. You don't mean that. I do. I should have offered it years ago. Should have made you feel like you were part of something instead of just working for me. That's on me. His eyes filled with tears. Dad, I betrayed you. I helped them try to steal your company. I know, and you're going to spend a long time making that right. But you're still my son, and I'm not giving up on you. He broke down, sobbed, great heaving sobs that shook his whole body. I moved to the bed, put my arms around him, held him while he cried. I'm sorry, he kept saying. I'm so sorry. I know. We stayed like that for a long time. Eventually, he calmed down, pulled back, wiped his eyes. What about Brenna? He asked. What about the Jossmans? What about them? They're destroyed. Because of me. Because I brought you into their life. They destroyed themselves. I just held up a mirror. Are you going to keep going after them? I thought about it, about the lawsuits, the investigations, the slow collapse of everything Wyatt had built. No, I said. I'm done. They're done. It's over. Just like that? Just like that. He nodded slowly. What now? Now you heal. Then you come home. Then we build something real. What if I screw it up again? Then we fix it again. That's what family does. He smiled. Just a little. But it was there. Okay, he said. Okay. The doctor came back in, said Levi needed to rest, that I could come back in the morning. I didn't want to leave, but I nodded, stood up. Dad, Levi said. I turned. Thank you. I nodded again. Couldn't speak. Just left before I started crying too. I went home, sat in my kitchen, stared at the wall, thought about everything that had happened, everything I'd done. I'd destroyed the Jossmans, Taken away their business, their reputation, their power. And for what? Revenge? Justice? Protection? All of the above, maybe. But it hadn't made me feel better. Hadn't made me feel like I'd won. It had just made me feel tired and empty and scared that I'd lost my son forever. But I hadn't. He was still here, still alive, still mine. And that was enough. It had to be enough. 2 weeks later, everything came to a head in the most unexpected way. I got a call from Phil at the building department. "Grant, you need to see this." "See what?" "Just get down here." I drove to the city building, found Phil in his office. He handed me a folder. "What is this?" I asked. "Inspection report on the Jossman construction site, the one on the east side, the unfinished commercial building." I opened the folder. Read. The site had been abandoned. Halfway through construction, Wyatt had pulled the plug. Left it sitting there. No security, no maintenance, just a skeletal structure slowly falling apart. So the city's taking it over, declaring it a public hazard. We need to either finish it or tear it down. "And you're telling me this why?" Phil smiled. "Because someone needs to oversee the demolition, and I thought you might be interested." I looked at the address, at the building plans, at the half-finished structure. An idea started forming. "Can I see it first?" I asked. "Yeah, just don't tell anyone I let you on site." That afternoon, Levi and I drove to the construction site. His arm was still in a sling, but he insisted on coming. The building was exactly what I expected. Steel frame, concrete floors, plastic sheeting flapping in the wind. Everything unfinished. Everything abandoned. It was perfect. We walked through it, Levi limping slightly, me taking mental notes. "What are you thinking?" Levi asked. "I'm thinking this is where we finish it." "Finish what?" "Everything." I pulled out my phone, called Decker. "I need you at the old Jossman site, east side, now." "Why?" "Just trust me." He showed up 20 minutes later, looked around. "What's the plan?" "We're going to bring them here." "Who?" "Wyatt, Brenna, anyone who's still standing from that family. We're going to end this. Tonight." "How?" I smiled. "With an invitation they can't refuse." I made 3 calls, one to Wyatt's attorney, one to Brenna's phone, one to a third party I knew would get word to Wyatt. The message was simple. "I have evidence that could clear you, proof that the safety violations were someone else's fault. Meet me at the construction site tonight at 8. Come alone." It was bait, and I knew they'd take it, because desperate people make stupid choices. We spent the rest of the afternoon preparing, setting up, making sure everything was ready. Decker had his doubts. "This is dangerous. What if they bring security? What if they call the cops?" "They won't. They're too desperate. They need this, and they know it." Levi was quiet, just watching, thinking. Finally, he said, "Dad, what are you planning to do? What needs to be done?" "Which is?" I looked at him. "Remind them what happens when you underestimate people like us." At 7:30, we got into position. Decker on the ground floor, me on the 3rd floor, Levi watching from the truck outside. At 8 o'clock, a car pulled up. Wyatt got out. Then Brenna. They looked around nervously. Walked toward the building. I watched them from above. Waited. They entered through the main entrance. Looked around. "Hello?" Wyatt called. His voice echoed. I didn't answer. They moved deeper into the building. Hesitant. Scared. Good. When they reached the center of the 1st floor, I flipped a switch. The work lights came on. Harsh white light flooding the space. They both jumped, looked around. I stepped out into a platform on the 3rd floor. Looked down at them. "Thanks for coming," I said. Wyatt's face went red. "What the hell is this?" "This is the end." "End of what?" "Your attempts to destroy me. Your attempts to control my son, all of it. This is where it stops." Brenna stepped forward. "You said you had evidence that could help us." I lied. "You—" She stopped, realized. "This is a trap." "No, this is a stage, and you two are going to perform one last time." Wyatt started backing toward the exit. "We're leaving." I pressed another button. Metal gates slid down over the exits. Not locked, not dangerous, but loud, startling. They both froze. "Relax," I said. "This isn't about hurting you. This is about truth." "What truth?" Wyatt demanded. "The truth about who you are, what you've done, and why you're never going to bother me or my son again." I pulled out my phone, pressed play. On screens around the building, Screens we'd set up earlier, videos started playing. Brenna's social media posts, the insults, the gossip, the cruelty. Wyatt's buildings, the violations, the shortcuts, the danger, the predatory contracts, the theft, the manipulation, all of it, everything, projected for them to see. "What is this?" Brenna asked. Her voice was shaking. "This is what everyone already knows. What's already out there. What's already destroyed you. I just wanted you to see it, all at once, so you understand." Wyatt looked up at me. His face was pale. "You've already won. Why are you doing this?" "Because you need to understand that you can't come back from this. You can't rebuild. You can't try this again with someone else. You're done." "We get it," Brenna said. She was crying now. "We get it. Please, just let us go." I looked at them, at the broken, desperate people they'd become, and I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no triumph, just emptiness. "Go," I said. I pressed a button. The gates lifted. They ran, stumbled toward the exit, disappeared into the night. I stood there on the platform watching them go. Decker came up the stairs, stood next to me. "That's it?" he asked. "That's it. I thought you'd have more to say, more to do." "What's left to say? They're finished. We won? Did we?" I looked at him. "What do you mean?" "I mean, look at you. Look at what this did to you. You destroyed them, yeah. But what did it cost you?" I thought about Levi in the hospital, about the weeks of not sleeping, about the rage that had consumed me. "Everything," I said quietly. "Was it worth it?" I didn't answer. We walked down the stairs. Met Levi outside. He looked at me. "Is it over?" "Yeah." "Good." We got in the truck, drove away from the construction site, left it dark and empty behind us. As we drove, Levi said, "What happens now?" "Now we go home," I said. "And we start over." "Think they'll try to come after us again?" "No, they're done. Broken. They'll spend the rest of their lives trying to put themselves back together. They won't have time to think about us." He nodded, stared out the window. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "I'm sorry. For everything." "I know. Think we can fix this? Fix us?" I thought about it. About the damage that had been done. The trust that had been broken. The scars that would take years to heal. But he was my son, and I wasn't giving up on him. "Yeah," I said. "We can fix this." He smiled. Small but real. We drove through the city, past the glass buildings, the construction sites, the places I'd helped build, my city, my world, my life. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. Not happiness, not yet, but peace. A sense that maybe, just maybe, we'd survived this. That maybe we could build something better. The truck stopped at a red light. I looked at Levi. He was still staring out the window, but he looked different, lighter somehow. "You okay?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "I think I am." The light turned green. I drove forward, and we left the ruins behind. Back at the construction site, the lights went out. The building stood there in the darkness, empty, abandoned, a monument to greed and cruelty and pride. In the morning, the city would tear it down. But tonight, it stood as a reminder of what happens when you build your empire on lies, when you use people as tools, when you underestimate the wrong person. And somewhere in the darkness, Wyatt and Brenna drove away, back to their empty apartments, their empty lives, their empty futures. They'd lost everything. Not to violence, not to some dramatic climax, but to the simple truth that actions have consequences, that cruelty has a price, that the people you step on are the ones who bring you down. And now they were nobody.